This is I Can't Believe This Got Greenlit. I am one of your hosts, Nick, and sitting across from me, as always, the beautiful Matthew Pelton.
The one and all DJ Pelton to you. Thank you.
All right, no, we're not.
Listen, we're on radio. We're now technically DJs.
We're now on air, so now we are officially DJs. Yeah, this is really cool. Okay, so I guess we can just kind of jump right into what the show is and how it all started.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Nick approached me with this idea, so he's mainly your main host. I'm just here for witty commentary. So I'll let Nick take over to explain what's going on here.
That terrifies me beyond belief that you're the main guy. I have to lead, especially about the movie we're talking about today.
You chose it.
I know.
This is your fault.
Which is awesome. So this is I Can't Believe This Got Greenlit. And it's essentially a show where we look at movies from our childhood, or in particular the early 2000s. And we kind of talk about how they got made and our experiences with them as a kid, and kind of rewatching them as an adult, like how absolutely insane they are.
This is way more interesting than I thought it would be.
Yeah. So today we are talking about a very fond movie of my childhood.
Yeah, I like to, by the way it works every week, we alternate who picks the movie.
Yes.
So of course for the first week, this is Nick's idea, so you can blame him for this choice.
Right. So this was kind of like the movie that I pitched to Pelton and to everyone that I kind of informed about this show.
Somehow no one shut this down.
Right, because it kind of encapsulated everything that this show stood for. Because, and we'll get into it, but rewatching this, I was like, okay, this is exactly what the show is going to be about. This is incredible. So the movie we're talking about today is the 2005 masterpiece.
Well, that's a word.
The Adventures of Sharkboy and Lavagirl.
Correct. In 3D.
In 3D.
Don't forget, in 3D.
Which is a major topic that we have to get to. But I guess first we can kind of go through our experiences with it, as it came out when we were 3 years old.
I was turning 4.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can start.
Yeah, so to be honest with you, I know I've seen this movie as a kid, but I had no memory of ever watching it.
Right.
It existed in my world. You know what I mean? So actually, when we got this show, we officially got greenlit, ironically, I called my dad. And I was like, hey, Dad, we just got this radio show. I can't believe it's got greenlit. And the first episode is going to be about Sharkboy and Lavagirl. And he starts laughing. And I was like, uh-oh. I was like, what? What's wrong? And he's like, do you remember watching Sharkboy and Lavagirl? And I was like, no, absolutely not. And he's like, dude, so sure enough, I didn't realize this, by the way, it played in theaters. This is like a movie.
Right.
It's like a real movie, which is shocking.
Which we'll get to the budget in a second, because I think it's
because I'm so curious. Yeah. So sure enough, I was 3 years old, turning 4, and my brother, who's usually like 2 or 3 years older than me, was like 6 or 7. So he took both of us to go see it.
Right.
Because, kids movie.
Yeah.
So he took us to go see it, and the whole deal is that it's in 3D. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So we go up, we get our tickets, we hand the tickets, and the guy hands us our 3D glasses. And according to my father, my brother looked at the glasses and just went, nuh-uh. He's like, what?
He just wanted nothing to do with
what
3D.
do you mean, nuh-uh? And he's like, I'm not wearing these. And sure enough, he was scared to watch the 3D for Sharkboy and Lavagirl.
Right.
So he went the whole movie, all hour and a half, just watching this blurry film. Couldn't see a single thing. He was petrified.
So we could have talked to him about that. That's awesome.
But now, in all credit, my dad tells that story and he says it's a 95% chance it was my brother and it was a 5% chance it was me. So we'll never know.
For the sake of the story, it was 100% you.
It was 100% me.
It was definitely you.
3D still freaks me out, man.
So are we talking like red and blue glasses? 3D?
Yeah, I think it was like old school.
Okay,
like you went to the AMC and they didn't have. Yeah, it's not like when you go see Avatar now.
Avatar.
Yeah. Deluxe things.
Like their goggles.
Yeah. Those old school, like the red and blue. The ones you got when you got like a 3D Blu-ray and they're like cardboard. You know what I mean?
By the way, why don't we bring those back?
Those were cool.
The 3D Blu-rays were incredible. I mean, okay. So the one thing I know about 3D Blu-rays is I never had a Blu-ray player. It was always DVDs. So
fair.
Which was the problem, because I don't think that the 3D format was, I don't know how Blu-ray and DVD works. But I'm pretty sure that I figured out at a very young age
that one is better.
That one is way better.
Obviously,
especially for 3D. So I can't for the life of me think of the movie, the title of the movie, but there was this animated movie that was like designed for 3D, and we got it on DVD, and it was like off like the like the Kmart like $1.50 whatever. And I put on the glasses and I'm watching and I'm like, well, A, this story's awful. Like, it was just, I was like, this is the worst animated movie I've ever seen.
How old are you at this point?
Oh, like 6 or 7.
And you knew then.
Yeah, I was like,
garbage.
this is terrible. I think it was still at the time where, like, they were still trying to push 3D, everything 3D TVs. 3D,
Yeah, because
like,
they were really
everything.
pushing it back when we were young.
Yeah. But so the other takeaway I had from it was, I don't like this format. I don't like 3D whatsoever.
Oh, at all?
No, I was like, I am not a fan. And then cut to, like, 15 years later,
Yeah.
I'm sitting watching the newest Disney movie, the one that like just came out. Do
you remember what it is?
Yeah. I forget the title. But in 3D, I was the only one in the theater. And I don't know why I watched it in 3D. It was not shot for 3D. It was not, whatever. So that lesson I learned all those years ago,
just forgot immediately.
I just completely, because it was animated and it was also 3D, and I did not like it.
So to this day, do you still not like 3D?
Well, here's the thing is, like, Avatar,
Yeah.
I liked.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
You watched it in 3D?
Mm-hmm.
I avoided it.
You avoided the 3D?
Yeah. Well, only because you did. I don't know how you do it, but I wear glasses normally, like to see.
All the time.
Glasses on top of glasses.
Right.
It's
the
impossible.
worst.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's the worst.
Especially Avatar's 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
No way am I doing 3D.
I think the one thing that helped a lot, you're going to laugh at me for this.
Oh, God. What did you do?
The constant Disney and Universal rides that are in
Oh, my
3D.
God. Mr. Disney Boy over here.
Mr. Disney Boy. So I think I just got used to, like, putting the horrible, like, glasses
Over
just
your
over
glasses.
the glasses.
Yeah.
Because I
Exposure
found that,
therapy.
I found that, like, the first couple times I did it, the 3D just, like, wasn't the best. And so I took my glasses off and then put the 3D glasses on, and I was like, oh wait, I can't see because these aren't prescribed 3D glasses to
You
fit
need both. You need both.
like they're the generic, they're like rubbing them down with like alcohol wipes and just throwing them back out there. Yeah. So yeah, I just was like, you know what? I'm just gonna, deal with it. It was great.
I can't believe I used to. I will say, it was going back to 3D and like Sharkboy and Lavagirl and stuff, with especially the red and blue glasses.
Right.
I used to always make fun of those, especially when I was a kid, because they're so cheesy, they're so goofy.
Yeah.
But we can't talk about the movie a lot because it will probably eventually be picked for this show. But we got a 3D Blu-ray of Coraline, and it came with those cheesy little red and blue glasses.
I gotta write that down.
It's easily one that's going to be on the show. But I think like for 3 summers straight, we watched it every night. And I put on those stupid glasses.
In 3D.
And here's my theory. This is a real theory. I did not have eyesight problems until I started watching Coraline in 3D every night.
Them down
for months.
The 3D format.
I think it destroyed my vision.
You need to write an angry letter to James Cameron and be like, you invented this horrible medium that has cost me thousands of dollars in eye exams.
I have an eye
glasses.
disorder. I now have glasses. It's all because of this stupid 3D.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that sounds like a very fun
Yeah, it was a blast.
story. I should have reached out to my parents and asked them, because I don't think they remember, but from my memory, because it was one of those things where I was thinking about it, and the first thing that came to mind was, it's like the same vibe, same director, same vibe. I was like, oh, I remember Spy Kids.
Spy Kids, yeah.
So we'll get to that.
It feels just like Spy
hopefully
Kids.
on another episode, because that's a whole nother thing.
Excuse me.
But thinking back to Sharkboy and Lavagirl, I don't remember. I don't exactly remember the story. Is basically
I didn't either. Yeah.
So what I think my fondest memory was, and we'll get to this, is the Dream song, obviously,
which we need to talk about.
Yeah, it definitely sticks out. But then also just watching it in my house, and it's one of those things where this is like the whole reason the show exists, is because you think of these movies and you're like, oh my God, how did that get greenlit? How was that, how does that exist?
Yeah, exactly.
How did this get greenlit? How did we consume this as children, like in masses?
And think it was normal.
And then we grow up and just never talk about it.
Nope.
It's like crazy.
You think this would be something that would come up like in therapy?
Right.
Like, can we talk about that movie real quick, Doc? Yeah.
There's a whole list. But so I just remember like my old like living room setup and the old like TV with like this. It was like the stand where you like put the TV like in.
Oh, you had one of those.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And they had like the cabinets like underneath it.
Yeah.
I did like just distinctly remember watching that. So I don't think I ever saw it in its original format.
Oh, you only watched it at home. You never saw it in the theater.
Never saw it in theaters.
But it's meant to be in 3D, Nick.
Right. Which is
you ruined the movie.
And so on rewatch,
I
was like, you start to see these things. We'll get into the plot in a second, but you start to see these things where you're like, oh, this would not have been shot this way
No.
if not for the 3D format.
There's
And it
like
was like
full storylines
this is rough.
where the
It
whole
almost-
point was 3D.
It almost, and again, I hate to keep bringing up Disney, but it reminded me almost of, there's an attraction called Muppet Vision 3D.
Okay.
And basically it's like, I think you can look it up on YouTube, like the actual short film. I should actually show you after this. But
We'll see.
Jonah, I'm sure,
Jonah
is
will watch
obsessed
it.
with it.
Yeah.
But so it's a short film.
Okay.
And basically the whole point is that like you're going into like the Muppet Studios and they're showing you like their new 3D technology.
Oh, okay. Kind of a cool
And
idea.
so, but it reminded me of that because there were so many instances in Muppet Vision where they were like, you know, it's like Fozzie Bear and he's like, you want another 3D trick? And then he does like the little like water spray out of his
splashes.
thing and he goes,
Yeah.
waka, waka, and he just like does this whole thing. But it kind of reminded me when I was watching this movie because there were like moments where like Lavagirl would just point and it would be like
for
so
no reason.
overtly,
Like,
like at the camera.
There's so many. There was a shark that jumps at the camera at one point.
It was awesome. But yeah, so that's pretty much my kind of.
So you never watched it
Childhood.
the way it was intended.
No.
The way this brilliant creative mind intended
exactly.
it.
So it was one of those things where I just kind of watched it at home and then kind of went from there and just forgot about it.
Now-
and then eventually saw the memes of like
Well,
the new
obviously,
song and
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
everything.
So when you were a kid, was it like a big deal in your life? Or was it just something like you watched? Like you've seen and that was kind of the end of it?
I think it sticks out more than most movies because of the.
I would hope so.
Right. Well, because of the vibe of Spy Kids. So it was like that
Yeah, that's
same. They
true.
kind of almost meld in my brain together.
Well, they very much feel the same.
Right. Same
Yeah.
director,
One's just
same
crazier than
CGI,
the other.
same like everything.
Yeah.
So I think they kind of melded together, and I'm like, okay, I remember Spy Kids vividly.
Oh, see, I remember
Vividly.
Sharkboy vividly,
Yeah.
not Spy Kids.
Yeah.
I know I've seen it, but
And
it's
then-
opposite.
It's one of those things where I think I read something where it was like the director had to literally the only reason why Lavagirl's hair is pink.
Yeah.
Yeah, you read that? It's because the actress
Mhm.
who plays Lavagirl resembles the girl. What's her name? The character in Spy Kids.
I don't.
So
That's
closely.
next week.
Yeah, so closely to the point where they were just like, you know what? Her hair is hot pink.
It has to
We're gonna
be.
put her in an entirely pink outfit, and her hair is gonna be on fire.
It was too identical. Okay, but to be fair, I don't know if we are allowed to go this in depth yet, but
Sure.
the costumes for both of them are actually kind of good,
Oh, they're great.
right? Like,
Yeah.
especially when you consider the rest of what the movie looks like.
Yeah.
They kind of killed it with the
It's
costumes.
like one of 5 things that's actually practical in the movie. Which is incredible.
I kept having, because if you don't remember what this movie looks like, the first, 5 to 10 minutes is almost all live action.
Right.
It's all normal. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
well,
they're like a school.
Sharkboy origin story is a different.
Well,
yeah, but anyways.
yeah, that's true. We'll get into like the plot in a second.
Yeah.
But it starts off very normal, and then the rest of the movie takes place in Planet Drool.
Right.
Right? That's what they call it?
Yep.
Planet Drool in this movie? Yeah.
Full
Great name.
CG.
Full.
Completely.
And like bad.
Like,
early 2000s CG.
awful. And we need to talk about the CG. Let's get into the plot of the movie.
Okay.
And then
we're
along
kind of
the way
bouncing
we'll
around
get
here.
into the logistics
looks and all that,
and
yeah.
the CGI because I have an interesting little tidbit here which is it just blows my mind.
Because I need to know what happened.
Yeah. So, first of all, the movie is directed by Robert Rodriguez, right?
Spy Kids.
Yes. So
Yeah.
he did Spy Kids, he did Sharkboy and Lavagirl. He's done a lot of other movies and he's pretty well known in the film industry as
Okay.
far as like children's films go, but other like those two are like his cult classics pretty much.
I figure. What is he? Does he still direct or what's he doing now?
I didn't look that far
Yeah.
into it. Yeah.
Hang on. You can,
But
you can
so-
tell how unprofessional this
Yeah,
show
you're
is.
good. You're good. But so the thing I thought was interesting as you looked that up is that he in this movie has 14 credits.
What?
Yeah.
How's that possible?
Most notably, I'll read off a couple of them, but his most notable is he's the director.
Yep.
He also produced,
Okay.
naturally. He's the
Naturally.
screenwriter.
Oh, he wrote
along
it too.
with, I think, the name written down has the Rodriguez last name.
Oh, so he wrote
So
it
I
with
think
like a
it's
family
either
member or
his
something?
wife or his kid or whoever it was.
Oh, I hope it was like a 6-year-old kid. That would explain a lot
Well,
about this movie.
We'll get to that in a sec. So writer, visual effects supervisor, which is an awesome credit because
That
of how this
explains it.
looks.
There
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
He DP'd the whole movie.
He DP'd
Yeah,
it?
he shot the whole thing.
Oh
he was
my
the cinematographer
gosh.
on this entire movie.
So he just this is a one-man army? Like,
He
did
did
anyone
the
else work on
whole
this
thing.
film?
He did the whole thing. He edited the whole movie
Solo.
solo.
This is
He
bananas.
was the solo editor. He was the cam op, composer,
He made the music. He made the
and
dream
performer.
song. He sang the dream song.
He
It was
sang the
him.
dream song, but I'm pretty sure he was also the voice of.
Sharkboy.
He just was Taylor Lautner.
Lavagirl too. Did all of them.
What if he just? Yeah, he just dubs. The whole, he's like, nah. You guys are all right. But
It was even George Lopez.
mine.
That's him. That's actually the director. That's Rodriguez.
yeah, I think he was. I think he stood in for like the marine biologist that right in the beginning when they were doing like the Sharkboy.
yeah. Is that him in the movie
intro?
or like?
I think it's either him or he's the voice of the shark.
So he cameos.
Yeah, he's a performer. Yeah,
That's
he's
awesome.
in the movie. So we can talk budget for a second.
Wait, before you get into budget,
Yeah.
I looked up what he's doing
yeah.
now. I'm shocked. Okay, so he does a lot. He directs probably 20 things a year.
That's wild.
But the two ones that stood out the most, check this out. He directed an episode of The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett.
no way.
He's like a big director.
are you serious? So he's
Like
just like
a Star
sitting
Wars
up
show.
there with like Dave Filoni
Yeah, and like Jon
and-
Favreau,
and George Lucas,
Bob Iger.
Yeah, Bob Iger, my
the guy
boy.
that made Sharkboy and Lavagirl is the same level.
Wow.
Taika
that makes
Waititi
sense.
directed an episode.
Right.
So did Robert
And
Rodriguez.
well, get this. Taika is now directing a feature-length Star Wars film. So
oh, Rodriguez
have-
is next. It's gonna be
we
full
could have a
CG
Star Wars
film.
Sharkboy and Lavagirl crossover.
Dude, he's gonna
They could go
direct,
to Planet
write it,
Troll.
edit it. It's canon to Star Wars. Sharkboy and Lavagirl is the prequel to New Hope.
That's awesome. But yeah, so
Wait, what's the?
So the
I
movie-
gotta know the budget for this
yeah,
thing.
so the movie had a $50 million budget. Now remember, he did everything on the movie.
How much did he get paid? Do we know?
I'm sure, like a
'Cause that's-
good majority.
Because that's a lot.
But it was a $50 million budget,
What happened?
and they made $72 million worldwide. So they made a little bit of money. It wasn't,
Well-
but it was a commercial failure.
I was about to say, if you use the logic of, because usually you look at a budget and you look at like the gross and you're like, oh, it made more. But you got to remember marketing goes into it.
Right.
So usually like, the rule of thumb is you double the budget for
Right.
marketing. So if it was 100,000, then that's in the
100
red. Yeah, they lost.
Yeah.
Oh, 100 million.
Yeah.
100,000.
But so yeah, so
That
it
would
made
explain
$39 million domestic,
Okay.
32 worldwide. Yeah.
This went worldwide.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh
This is
yeah.
in
it went
theaters in
worldwide.
England.
I'm just picturing some like dude in like Scotland. And
Denmark or
he's,
something.
yeah, he's just like, what?
What is going on?
What am I watching? He's like one of 8 people in the entire country.
Dude, this is why the U.S. has such a weird reputation. They go to theaters, like, what's the newest Hollywood film?
Yeah.
And they watch this.
But I also think it's funny because $39 million in just the United States,
Yeah.
$32 million less than our domestic
It's usually
in
not
the
how that
entire
works.
rest of the world.
Yeah, worldwide it's usually way higher.
That's
than
every other
domestic.
country in existence gave us 32 million or gave him $32 million.
That's
for this movie.
insane.
So we're gonna get to the plot, but before that, I just have to point this out because going forward, talking VFX, because this is like a mainstay of the time, the era, why it's so nostalgic. It's just like one of the main reasons I think this is one of the
This is
movies
like-
that we have in our
You could, quote unquote
docket.
stood the test of time. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Well,
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean.
yeah. For us,
When it came out, I
us
don't think it stood the test of
early
time then.
2000s
but-
children. So, fun fact: the VFX made up 90% of this movie, which is very apparent.
Obviously, yeah.
11 VFX companies worked on the movie,
Okay.
including, now this is the part that I was like, no, not a chance. Industrial Light and Magic.
The
Which, if
Disney
you don't
people?
know who that is, ILM is the company that George Lucas founded
Yeah.
that did all of the VFX for Star Wars.
And then he
Like all
went on
the
to
special
direct Star
effects.
Wars.
And then he went on to direct Star Wars.
This
And
movie
then
is
the
Star Wars.
company moved on, and they did a lot of Spielberg stuff.
Yeah,
'cause
they do a
Spielberg
lot.
and
Yeah.
Lucas were in cahoots. I mean, they still are. But yeah. So ILM just kind of moved on, and then they did this.
They went
They
to
were
this.
part of 11 visual effects companies that churned out the visual effects for whatever.
And the budget was what, 50 million?
50
So
million.
40 million went
So
to ILM.
$49.9 million went to ILM.
And 0.1 went to Robert Rodriguez
Yeah.
for being 14.
And everyone
roles.
else was free. Taylor Lautner didn't make a dime.
His
off of
experience.
this. Okay. So going into the plot of this movie, let's just jump right in.
Yeah. Excuse me.
So you start with I think it's Dimension Films is the
Yeah, I
production
believe
company.
so. Yeah.
But right off the bat, it says Dimension Films, and then it stretches. Just like the first thing that happens is the 3D
immediately.
thing.
Yeah.
And I think 2 of the 3 companies that like mainly worked on this are now defunct. Like
Shocker.
they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So they did, they going back, they did the Spy Kids movies,
Yep.
and I don't even know what else they did.
All like the cheesy kids
Yeah.
movies. Yeah.
So then you go into the origin story of Sharkboy, and
I forgot this how this
kind
movie
of how.
opens.
Oh, you know what? We have to mention that this entire film, and I don't know if you knew this, but it said it's like a line in the very beginning. This entire film is from the mind of Robert Rodriguez's 6-year-old kid.
It said that?
Like,
Really?
yeah. So it basically was like, this film comes from like the dreams and like mind of Racer Max. Racer Max, is it Racer Max?
I
think it's
believe
Racer
so,
Max.
yeah.
Racer Max is Robert Rodriguez's kid.
Oh.
He's a 6-year-old. Now, I watched this like short documentary. I think Robert Rodriguez made it.
Is it about Sharkboy and Lavagirl?
Yeah, it's about the making of it.
Really?
And
Okay.
it's basically like an inspirational like 15-minute. I think it's like 7 minutes.
I did not
But
come prepared at all.
Oh no, it's like I got the most information from those 7 minutes. It was incredible. So it was like shot on like this old 35 millimeter like film thing or like digital
the
whatever.
documentary
it was.
or the film?
No, the documentary.
Okay. I was like, no way.
And yeah, and it basically just like has clips of Racer.
The
basically,
actual kid.
Yeah, like the actual kid. It's just like basically the home videos like that you have.
Yeah.
Right? So it's basically that, except he is talking about this dream he had about Sharkboy and Lavagirl.
Really?
Yeah. And so he like draws it all out.
Does he have a little dream journal?
He has like a little
No way.
not a dream journal, but he has like these sheets of paper that he has like the like snake plug things drawn out. He has like Sharkboy and Lavagirl.
So almost like the whole plot, like every
Everything.
character in the movie.
I'm talking down. They took dialogue from
Whoa.
just straight out of his mouth.
I'm gonna
and
burst
put
your
it
bubble,
on.
dream boy. Like come from his son.
Yeah, essentially. Like there was a moment in the little doc that that Racer said something, and then
Yeah.
it immediately cuts to that line in
the
the movie.
movie.
And I was like, no way.
Well,
And,
like
and then I watched the movie back, and I was like, oh,
this is
now I
actually-
get
it makes sense
why the dialogue sounds like that.
because a child wrote
A
it.
literal 6-year-old. Like basically spoke all of the words, and then his dad just like wrote the screenplay. That's why he like pretty much did everything, because he was
Okay.
like, this is from the mind of my kid.
Hang on a minute,
Yeah.
because so I was sitting here, you're telling that story, and I was like, oh, now I feel bad ragging on the movie because that's adorable.
Right, of course.
But
Right.
the more I think about it, I get taking the plot. Like, hey kid, remember you had this dream? Hello, my beautiful son. Look what I did for you. I made this movie. But you shouldn't take dialogue from a 6-year-old.
Mhm.
The 6-year-old doesn't know how to speak.
Right.
So if you do that, your movie's gonna be awful.
I think that's
Which is
why
what
it
happened.
flopped. Yeah. That along with the CGI, and also just like the wild nature of we're gonna turn a 6-year-old's literal dream
To a movie
into a
and not change
feature-length
anything.
film and not change a single thing.
which is a horrible
Literally
idea.
down to like the design of the characters,
Yeah.
the dialogue, like like beat for beat. The only thing that they did was like, oh, we're adults. Like Robert Rodriguez was like, we're adults. Let's like actually make this into like a screenplay and
Yeah,
like
let's
make
actually
it
write
make
it out.
sense,
Yeah.
because this kid's just like blabbing on.
Blabbing nonsense.
Right.
But the movie is still nonsense.
Oh,
It comes from a 6-year-old child.
yeah.
Oh my God.
It's awesome. When I learned that,
Atlanta.
when I saw this doc, I was like, that
that
is
explains
perfect.
it.
That is the only way that this movie could ever be made.
Does
So-
that mean though that in the movie it's established that the main kid Max, his parents are like splitting,
Right.
and it's like a big point of, it's not really a big point of contention to him,
Mhm.
but it's like a thing that's in the movie. So does that mean in real life that also?
I think they did that for like the one, like why the kid like doesn't ever want to spend time with his parents.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, I don't want to spend time with you guys because you're always
You're always
fighting.
arguing.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna talk to you guys. So that's why they're like absent in the whole film,
Yeah.
which
clearly.
kind of makes sense. So they were just like, all right, let's throw that in. But
They also are. They're from Planet Ghoul. Drool. This movie sucks.
hot take, loved it.
No, you did not. No, you did not.
No. Okay. So another thing I learned in the doc. Again, this is like important before
Okay.
we get into the actual what happens.
Yes, which we keep teasing.
I know. I'm so sorry, everyone. they have a clip where Taylor Lautner, kid who plays
Sharkboy,
yes,
yeah,
who goes on to star in Twilight, and I am upset that people know him from Twilight and
not this. I think once you watch Twilight, you then look him up, and then you see this,
yeah, and you're
and
like,
the
that
whole world
makes sense.
shatters. Yeah,
But so he auditioned essentially in the Rodriguez family household. Like they just held
went to
auditions
their
in their
house?
like living room.
this movie had $50 million.
I know. I'm
What?
well aware. I don't know. I
understand.
think literally they dished out $50 million to. I didn't look into the marketing of this film, but it had to be marketing, VFX, because it was 11 teams.
Yeah, and I know they marketed the 3D pretty heavily. Yeah,
And I'm sure they had to pay for all sorts of people on set for the kids because it's mostly
I'm sure
child based.
Yeah,
And also you got I don't know where he was at this point, but I'm pretty sure that Mr. Lopez, George Lopez, was.
I think he was big at this point.
He was hauling in the big bucks. So I'm sure.
What was his big show that he had? And it was always at night when you'd flip
The
to Nickelodeon.
George Lopez show?
Yes. I don't want to talk about that. Just happened. Let's cut it. Let's cut that.
All right, cut that live on air.
You know, like back in the day when we were like 4 or 5, ironically,
Sure.
you'd be like flipping through like Nick. It'd be Nick at night.
Yeah.
And then it would get to the George
Like
Lopez show. And you're like, man, come on.
Yeah, they're like all jumping.
Flip it. Yeah.
But what is it, Lowriders?
Yeah, Lowrider's the theme. It's always the one show where you're like, dang it.
But it's awesome. It's awesome. For those of you who are listening that don't know, I spent 3 months working at the Tonight Show, and humble brag, and and there was one
doing nothing.
There was please. There was one day where George Lopez was on the show, and the Roots, the in-house band, they played Lowrider as he was walking out.
That's awesome.
It was the greatest moment I've
George
ever
Lopez show.
witnessed. It was awesome.
Oh, also,
But-
just in case people don't know, George Lopez plays like not the main villain. You could argue the main villain.
Yeah, you could. He's one of the main villains.
He's one of the main villains in this movie,
Yep.
and he's a big dome essentially.
Right.
It's his head blown up into this big robot body.
In Planet Drool. In real life,
Planet
he's
Drool.
just the main character's teacher.
Actually, in real life, he's kind of a good guy.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah. Well, he has a moment where he tells a kid not to dream, which is a bit strange, but
right. But so, Taylor Lautner does his audition.
Oh, right. Okay.
All of the, like all the flips and all the like stunts that he does, all real.
He did.
Yeah, he did all of it.
'Cause he was
like
young
a
in this
very,
movie.
Yeah, he was
Good
like a
for
very
him, wow.
athletic kid. He like did like a flip like in the house when he was like doing his audition.
Okay.
And then
Did he come with little shark fangs for
I
teeth?
wish that would have been so cool. But so he left, and then Robert Rodriguez
Yep.
turns to his
Director
kid.
of The Mandalorian.
Right. ILM legend. He turns to his kid and he was like, Racer, what do you think?
Wait, his kid is also casting?
Was also casting.
Oh my
The 6-year-old
God.
was doing everything.
This is unacceptable.
Now, wait for this. Racer was in the movie.
No, he wasn't.
He was young Sharkboy.
Are you serious?
I
That
swear to
was
God.
Robert
That was
Rodriguez's
his-
son?
So young Sharkboy is two different people.
Yeah, I
It's-
caught that.
Yeah, so he gets a little bit older.
Yeah.
So it's Robert Rodriguez's 6-year-old kid,
First.
and then Robert Rodriguez's other kid.
Come on. This movie's ridiculous.
Which is awesome. But so he goes, Racer, what did you think? And he was like, I liked him. And he was like, is that our guy?
Is that our shark boy?
And he was like, yep. And he was like, this is the part I thought was so funny. He was like, but we that was the first person we auditioned.
They only auditioned one?
Yeah, it was cut and dry. They were like, Taylor Lautner, you're hired. That was it.
Did he even leave the house?
No.
Like,
He left, but then they basically made the decision like right then and
the
there.
second he walked out. That's
and then
crazy.
eventually they were like, all right, I think it was only like 1 or 2 people after, and then they got the girl, the Lavagirl. And then
I will
they
say
went on with
it's
production.
impressive that they only took one audition because he's probably my favorite part of the movie.
Sharkboy?
Yeah, like Jenny,
Well,
like he's not
yeah.
obviously he's not great.
He's
He's a
kinda
young
cool.
kid, but yeah, out of all the other like kid actors,
Yeah.
he easily does the best.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Yeah.
Okay, so plot.
Right.
We're about halfway through the show.
After
here, so
30
we
minutes.
should be talking about the plot. So basically, you open the film with Sharkboy's origin story. Again, young Sharkboy played by both of the director's kids.
Yep. I love
And
Legend.
the voice of the shark because I don't actually remember what he does. But he's in that scene. He's either the scientist, the marine biologist, or he's the voice of the shark. But anyways.
Oh, the sharks speak English, by the way.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Full on.
so basically, they introduce Sharkboy as this kid who is a marine biologist in training.
Yes.
And then one day, and he's feeding the sharks,
Feeding the
and
sharks.
he becomes friends with them, and they start speaking English,
Full on English.
which is insane. And by the way, the sharks look horrendous.
Oh, it's
and
awful.
that is just an ongoing theme. So we're gonna keep ragging on
The look?
the look, but just know that anytime we explain something that sounds like it would look really cool,
It's not at all.
it looks like the worst version of that thing that you could possibly like make.
Because I watched this yesterday in prep. Actually, to be honest with you, it took 2 sittings to get through.
I heard it this morning.
Did you?
Yeah.
Because me and Nick share a wall, by the way. So I watched the first hour of it, and I couldn't finish it. It was awful. But I will say the first scene starts, and you're right, and then the sharks appear, and I audibly went nuh-uh by myself because it was so horrendous. And then they started speaking, and it looks even worse.
It's so crazy.
It's so bad.
It's so crazy. But so then magically a storm, which by the way,
right.
this storm. So a storm comes over and splits up Sharkboy and his father.
Yeah.
Never to be seen again.
They hint at stuff.
Right.
But
at the end,
we never
but
really
right.
see the dad again.
So he
Rest
gets
in peace,
separated
Robert
from his
Rodriguez.
father, and he's on a raft. He's out at sea, and
Right.
and the sharks. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be wrong. But the sharks like take him in.
Yeah, they take him as one of their own.
Right. And then he eventually like develops like gills.
Yeah, they literally show like his stomach have gills, and
Right.
he gets like a little fin.
Right.
Yeah, he becomes the shark boy.
Right. But a thing I like to point out is the storm that they hint at or that they show is just this massive tornado.
Yep.
That just is like on the sea that just like heads directly at them, and it just
Like it's comically
comes
big.
out of nowhere. And again, it looks tragic. Like it looks horrible.
horrendous.
And so it's just like this poorly done CGI tornado coming at the kid.
It's
and he's like,
like-
oh no.
It's like obnoxiously big.
Yeah.
Like I remember this. I saw it. And I'm like, if that hit like the U.S., there would be no U.S. anymore.
Right,
Like,
never.
It's this huge tornado,
Massive.
and all it does is just separate this tiny little raft.
Yeah.
Like him and his dad. That's all it does. Nothing else. Just, they're totally fine.
But so the sharks come up to him and they're like, oh, I remember you. Like, don't eat this guy.
Yeah, you're a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically the quote from Nemo where he's like, humans are friends, not food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it just reminded me of that. But so, he becomes the coveted Sharkboy.
Yes.
And
the
then Max
legend.
is introduced, our main character based on the real life kid of Racer Max.
Yeah, he just took the kid's last name.
Exactly.
Character's name is Max Racer.
Literally. But so Max, the way that they're introduced to each other is basically they're kind of speeding through this at this point just to kind of like get hey, here's the backstory. This kid has a dream about these 2 characters. He has a dream journal, and then cut to the school where he's reading his dream journal about what he did over the summer.
Yeah, I think the assignment was like, hey, what did you do? And I think
Right.
the intent was to write like something real.
Right.
And then little Maxie boy went
Yeah.
up and read his dream journal.
Right.
Yeah.
It kind of just like visually shows the story he's telling it to his class. But the thing I thought was so funny was Max is fishing one day, right? This is how he's introduced to Sharkboy. And then he's fishing and he looks like he catches a fish.
Yeah.
And then he just pulls up Taylor Lautner.
He was a shark boy.
But in my head, I was like, you ever just go out fishing and then
pull up
just
a child?
catch young Taylor Lautner?
Lautner with a fin.
His hair was all spiked up. He was like,
What's the problem?
It was
little
the
shark
greatest.
teeth?
It was the greatest thing ever. But so, and then so he takes him back to his house, and he fills up his bathtub. But the bathtub
It's glass or
has
something.
like glass for like a shower.
Yeah, it's like a tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so he fills it all the way up. He's swimming around in the tank, and then out of nowhere, I don't know how Lavagirl gets into the house, but Lavagirl just appears in Max's house.
Yeah.
And she's just like, all right, we're gonna, be friends.
What's the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just breaking
That's
and
how
entering.
me and you became friends. I just
Yeah.
showed up in your bedroom one morning.
Right. And I was like, all right.
Yeah,
you have
we're friends now.
flaming pink hair. This is gonna be amazing. I'm excited. But another thing I want to point out is in the movie, they say, in the narration, they say that Lavagirl has purple flaming hair.
Yeah.
It's not
not purple.
It is fully
They really-
100% pink. The
It's not even
flames
close
are
to
pink.
purple.
No, you can't even be like, oh, that you could just, it's based on the human eye. It is like
No.
objectively pink.
And they have scenes where like it's not on fire, like her
Right.
hair's wet or something, and it's hot pink.
hot
like it's
pink.
neon pink.
And to add insult to injury, her entire outfit is fully pink.
Yeah, there's no purple
Yeah,
anywhere.
There's no and I was like, where? Like, did Racer and Max write this and they were just like, this is too precious, we can't change that he doesn't know the difference between pink and purple?
I get, yeah, because that's a weird, like, if you write the script and you write it as purple and then like you do your movie and you're like, okay, you know what, we'll make it pink. Yeah. That's such an easy fix in post. I think because it's narration, just be like, do an ADR of like pink and just put that in your movie.
Right.
It's such a weird, you can't say purple and then 2 seconds later a character with hot pink hair shows up.
So, I don't even know. But so, and then we cut to the classroom. Yeah. And he's telling the students, and as he's done, he's like, that's how I spent my summer. And like just on hand, every single student had like 8 crumbled up pieces of paper just ready to fire.
They
at
all
this
hate
kid
him.
and just immediately start hucking these papers at him. And then George Lopez comes in. This is where we're introduced to the legend.
Yeah. Will Ryder actually starts playing in the movie.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
He busts through the door and he's like, he just starts jumping and floating.
Ryder.
But so he comes in and he like breaks it all up. And, we get the intro to the debate of Linus.
Yeah.
Who, in my eyes, is the main villain.
I would say so, yeah. Who later becomes Minus.
Right, he becomes Minus because in the classroom, based on your behavior that day, you either get a plus or a minus.
Get it?
And Linus always gets minus because he's mean to Max. And by the end of this scene,
genius.
I think he takes his dream journal.
Yeah, he
just
fully steals
swipes
it. Yeah.
And so,
no, remember they go to like a playground at recess. And they all like chase down Max.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so it turned out Linus has like a full entourage of like little 6-year-olds.
Right.
They will all do his bidding. And there's, by the way, if you actually watch that scene, there's easily like 14 kids chasing Max around the playground. It's way too many.
And it was also a very like epically shot.
It was.
Like, they took like, again, this was one of the only parts that's like on location. I'm pretty sure they shot.
There's not a lot in this movie, but it is one of them.
They shot on location in Texas for like 3 or 4 months.
Is that where Robert Rodriguez lives?
It's where Racer goes to school.
Oh, come on.
I think. I could be mistaken. But
it's actually the playground he got bullied at, where Minus took his dream journal.
But so by the end of it, Linus takes his dream journal and basically is like, I'm going to scribble out your dreams and I'm going to make new ones.
Yeah.
That's essentially how it ends.
I will say, and listen, this is going to sound wrong, but I'm hoping it makes sense when I describe it. But in defense of Linus, who's comically evil, and especially in kid form, like in dream form, he's like kind of better. Yeah. Like actual Linus is just a monster. But in defense of Linus, I do think Max dreams a little too much. Like, you ask him, like, hey, what's going on today? He goes, oh, I saw Sharkboy. All right. Like, that's all he talks about. It's almost a little annoying.
That's fair. But it was also like fully based on the director.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Editor, writer, producer,
composer,
his kid, actor. He does everything for this movie. It's based on his kid. So I feel like they have to just be like, well, in the movie, he's like 12, like he's articulate.
Yeah.
But in real life, he's just a dumb little 6-year-old.
6 makes sense, but like, if I was in that class and like it was Max's turn to speak,
right,
I would have papers ready.
Like this kid again.
Like I know he's gonna bring up Lavagirl.
So then the next day, right, they're in school and Max tells, I forget Mr. Electricidad.
Yeah,
that's his name.
Very clever.
Yeah,
comes up later.
Yeah. So he tells George Lopez.
Yeah, we just call him George Lopez.
Yeah, George Lopez. He tells George Lopez that that Linus took his dream journal.
Yeah, a little monster.
So George Lopez tells Linus to give it back and gives him a minus for the day.
Yeah.
And then Max gets his dream journal back, sees that Linus has destroyed it.
Yeah, Linus destroys it, by the way.
And then he's like, George Lopez. He says George Lopez in the movie.
Straight up.
He says George Lopez. He destroyed. That'll never not be funny. He tells George Lopez that his dream journal is destroyed.
Yeah.
And then Linus has one of the funniest lines. Just his cadence and the way, because this is like ragged on like TikTok and everything to this day. But he says something along the lines of like, I did not.
Dude, he's comically evil.
He's like, I did not. He's like, Mr. electricity dad, like send him to the principal's office and have him immediately and have him expelled or like something like that. And then like seconds later, like as he's saying that, Max just chucks his dream journal at his head, and then pretty much they both get yelled at and the scene ends.
I laughed so hard.
Essentially.
Because not only does Max chuck him, and they cut to Max, and he has murder in his eyes.
Right.
Like, Max is going to kill
so
this kid.
mad. Yeah. So upset. But so then, to make a long story short,
I'm crying. This movie's insane.
Max eventually has an interaction with George Lopez's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Who, she's like the quiet girl, who is smart, but she also gets a cold.
Yes.
From the AC is blowing down.
Take a note of
cold.
that.
Yeah, take note.
All comes back.
So then a big old Texas tornado comes through, and George Lopez is like, no big deal. We're going to continue teaching. Everyone sit down. And then,
but we're only like, what, 10 minutes in? This is our second tornado.
Yeah. This is our second tornado.
Yeah.
It's literally
4?
10, something like that. There's a lot. But yeah, there's second tornado in 10 minutes.
Yep.
And the first 10 minutes out of an hour, I think an hour and a half.
Yes,
an
hour
34
minutes, I think.
They this is like the last time it's fully
normal, like an actual film.
not CG.
Yeah.
So the tornado hits. The windows are going open and close. It's everything's going crazy. George
He's still
Lopez is
teaching.
like, get down. Yeah. He's like, so.
What did you do over your summer?
Yeah. So, Sharkboy and Lavagirl bust through the windows, and they're like, "You got to come with us to
Planet Drool."
And everyone's like, "Oh my god,
They're real."
they're real." So then, I'm trying to speed through this plot, by the way, just because we're cutting close.
We're already at 42.
So, yeah, which is kind of awesome. But they take him to Planet Drool. They get into a shark rocket.
Obviously. What's the problem?
And when they sit down, and this is the thing I wanted to point out, when they sit down, there's a sign, and they cut to like an extreme close up of it, and it says like glasses on.
Yeah.
Or like put your glasses on.
I forgot about that.
Like I watched this now in the context of, this was meant to be seen in 3D. Fully telling the audience, okay,
put on your 3D glasses.
Put on your 3D glasses.
Yeah.
It's going to start to get crazy.
But again, this was meant as like a 3D thing.
Right.
Like, it's weird to watch this without any 3D.
Yeah. So then they go up to Planet Drool, and it's dark. It's barren. And basically, Max is, he is told that, is his name Mr. Electric?
Yeah, and
It's
Planet
just
Drool,
Mr. Electric?
I think it's Mr. Electric. They cut off the Dodd
it's
part.
just Mr. Like,
Yeah.
It's just no.
No, it's not like doctor or anything.
Yeah,
it's just Mr. Electric.
That would be funny if he like had a PhD in Planet Drool.
Senor Electric.
Yeah. But so they're told that Mr. Electric kind of has, rain on the land, and so it's all dark and depressing, and he sends kids on like this never-ending roller coaster because because if they
I just watched this movie yesterday. I blocked out all of this.
All of it's gone.
I forgot every single
I've just
detail.
done a lot of research, so I am like forcing myself to remember. The second this is over, I will be forgetting this movie. But so, so they're like, okay, Big Bad is Mr. Electric. We need to get things back to normal, and
well, they set it up like he's the big bad.
Right.
It's almost like a Darth Vader-esque.
Yeah.
Like, there's someone above him, but it's just like a mystery of what's going on. You know what I mean?
Right. From there, I don't exactly remember what happened.
I don't think anyone, including Robert Rodriguez, who made this film single-handedly, remembers.
Okay, so from what I remember, they go up and... Oh, you know what? I do remember. They have this massive, super climactic battle with Mr. Electric.
Because I remember, I also watched the first half of this movie with somebody because I don't think I could survive watching this by myself. So they have this big fight, and I remember pausing it. I'm like, are we done with the movie? Like, it's like a third act fight. Like
it was 30 minutes in. You still had a whole hour.
I was stunned.
So they fight him, and mind you, if you haven't seen the movie, he's this big CG like metal thing with like electricity for arms.
Yeah.
And then
it's just his
they basically
face.
like put, from what I learned, is they put like a super, super wide lens, like inches from his face.
Oh, that explains
and they just
the
like
look.
Stretch it all out. Yeah, but it basically looks like if you're looking at a person through a magnifying glass. That's
he's like, it's so off-putting.
Yeah.
I don't know how that got allowed.
It's crazy. But so they fight him, they lose, and they get sent down. Where did they get sent down?
Somewhere in Drool Land.
Yeah. But so then eventually they have to figure out how to defeat Mr. Electric and eventually the big bad, which is Minus.
That's the big
that
twist.
Is his name. It's Linus, but it's Minus.
It's Minus.
So Minus is kind of controlling Mr. Electric, and Mr. Electric is kind of sent on this hunt to go capture
Sharkboy and Lavagirl. And Max.
So and Max.
Yeah.
And eventually they get to the milk and cookie, the land of milk and cookies, which is my favorite part of the entire movie.
Easily.
Because the CGI is horrible, as always.
But at least you know what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Because I remember everything kind of previous. So they have the land of it's all like desserts and stuff. It's like a milk river and stuff. But everything before that, it's almost hard to describe. It's just this goopy CG. But it's not supposed to be anything. It's just CG mess. Yeah. So the movie just looks... It doesn't look like a film. Like again, it's almost undescribable. But then you finally get to this part, and there's things you know, and you're like, okay, I now at least know what I'm looking at.
Right. And so Sharkboy does the greatest song in history, the Dream Song. And
now we gotta hang on. We gotta give context to that.
Yeah.
So one, there's no song previous to that. And there's no song after that.
No.
It's not a musical.
No.
So why he starts singing in full song and dance, I'll never know.
Right. And also he starts with just like a melodic like speak, and then they add music to it. And it's incredible.
He's just talking though.
Right. But so
now why does he give the speech again?
Because he has to put Max to sleep.
So he can dream. And if they want him to get to a level of like omnipotence, where if he dreams with his eyes open, he can make anything happen. Oh yeah. So when he dreams, he then like creates stuff in this world.
He creates stuff,
so
it gets him eventually. So they get to like the final stage.
Yeah.
Of where the climactic battle already happened. You're like, how? Where do you go from
what's
here?
going on? And also, it seems like we're skipping a lot of the plot, but we're really not.
Yeah,
like,
no,
it's just nonsense.
Yeah,
for a long time.
It's just like world building and like this is this place and that's it. And Lavagirl wants to find her like what she's what her origin story is.
What's going on with her,
and
which we don't find.
Sharkboy is like, I just want to find my dad, but he's definitely not here.
Nope.
And it's just like a weird like
it's all like everything like nothing happens, but at the same time there's so much nonsense on the screen.
Yeah.
It feels like an acid trip.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a real movie. Like
but so then they get to the final battle.
Yeah.
And it's essentially Max versus Minus.
Yes. But Max has unlocked
his dreaming with his eyes open ability.
So he can pretty much create anything at any point.
And pretty much Minus can do the same thing.
Yeah. So at this point, I swear to God, I was like, I'm watching The Matrix.
Yeah.
Like the way in when they both become like gods.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they can both create and do whatever they want.
Right. So what I'm forgetting is how the ice girl comes into the...
She kind of doesn't.
But they have the like ice necklace.
Yeah. So remember the girl in the beginning that was George Lopez's daughter has a cold is actually now like the ice princess.
Right.
And I think at some point they set up like, hey, she has this necklace that will freeze the big building that will stop Mr. Electric or something crazy. Yeah. So they get the necklace and she's like, hey, but only I can use the necklace. It won't work if you grab it. So then George Lopez, who's playing a different character at this point, basically has like a wedding ceremony for Max and his daughter where they both say, I do. And then she hands the necklace to him and he goes to use the necklace and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then it's never brought up again.
Oh, do they never bring it up?
No.
That's insane.
It just didn't work. And then they're like, okay, now what? Like they just move on.
Oh, okay. So then they end up defeating the bad guy. And then essentially...
How do they defeat Minus and...
I don't remember. But they defeat the bad guy and essentially Max wakes back up in the classroom.
Oh, this okay. Like,
this was all a dream.
Funniest part.
It was all a dream.
Yeah. So, I remember. Okay, so he extends, but he just is like kind to Minus. I think he's like the first. It's like one of those. Oh, no one ever showed me kindness. Someone finally did.
Yeah.
So they defeat Minus by saying like, hey, we're friends now. And then it's revealed, Sharkboy and Lavagirl like, hey, let's like wake up. It's time to wake up. He's like, what do you mean wake up? It's all a dream. And then it's the funniest part. I laughed so hard. So he finally wakes up back in the real world. The whole adventure's over. Planet Drool's done. He became a god. So he wakes up. And it's revealed that he was sleeping in the middle of like a level 8 hurricane.
Yeah.
The world's ending outside.
I think he got knocked out.
Did he?
I think that's what happened.
Because Linus is also sleeping.
Yeah.
And the George Lopez girl is also sleeping.
Yeah.
These are 3 people.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That are fully just passed out in class.
Yeah, I don't know.
As there's like the apocalypse outside their window. It's bananas.
Yeah. But so, everything's all fine and good. And then they I think they go outside.
Yeah, and sure enough, it's Mr. Electric.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
the
he
big
comes into the
twist.
real world.
Yeah, so they defeat Minus, and Mr. Electric is like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop this at its source.
Right.
So he goes to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the big tornado. Turn it the whole time was
Right.
Mr. Electric. So he comes out, and then how do they stop? This movie's insane.
I
remember.
do not remember.
I totally remember. Okay, I'll make this quick because I know we only have like 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
So all the kids are there. And keep in mind, there's this big robot George Lopez. There's this big tornado, and they're all like kind of calm. They're like, "So what do we do now? Any suggestions?" You get a plus if you stop the bad guy. And I'm like, "Okay, your life's about to end. Can we be a little more panicked here?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sure enough, Max returns the necklace to George Lopez's daughter.
Mm.
So it somehow transferred over from Planet Drool.
Mm.
And then, my memory serves correct, she then walks up to this big robot of her father and uses the necklace, and it works in the real world. I think she freezes him, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's how that movie
Yeah.
ends. And then Max's parents get back together,
Right.
and Sharkboy and Lavagirl are on Earth now,
Yeah.
and that's the end.
Sharkboy, Lavagirl figures out that she is the embodiment of light.
Oh, yeah.
and
I
then,
forgot
which
about
is so
that
corny.
too.
And then Sharkboy just gets into a tank. And then
It's like a
basically,
shark tank.
Yeah, like a
he looks
shark
like
tank.
a shark.
And then he goes down to the depths of the ocean to find his father.
That we don't know if he does.
Right. There's a sequel, by the way.
Yeah,
and I'm not watching it because I
refuse.
refuse to believe that they're going to do any good with
No.
the end of that movie. 'Cause the end of that movie is, in my opinion, perfection.
Okay. I don't know
It's
about
not.
that.
That is a complete
I
lie.
will
It's
say in our
awful.
last couple minutes here, watching it now.
Yeah. Final thoughts.
Yeah, final thoughts. Watching it as I'm 21 years old. I'm still young. You know, I'm not obviously like
I'm
old.
8.
Yeah, Nick is 8 years old. Yeah. But as a 21-year-old person watching this now, it's horrendous.
Oh, yeah. It's
like
real bad.
I'm shocked at how bad it was and how even as a kid I didn't recognize like this is really bad. Because it's popular amongst people our age.
Yeah.
But I don't know why.
Mhm.
So that was my experience. Again, like I said, it took 2 days to sit through. Like I really,
Right.
I would never watch this again.
For me, final thoughts. I'm going to say that watching it, knowing that it was created by a 6-year-old essentially, and by one man, I'm impressed and
That's
happy
true.
that they went based on a kid's dream.
It's
Which
a
is
cool
awesome.
story,
But
You
if you
know.
look at it from like if you didn't know that, which most people don't,
which I didn't when I
right?
watched it.
Most people
yeah.
don't. It doesn't hold up.
No.
But I understand why we liked it as a kid because it was coming from another kid. Does that make sense?
It's from a 6-year-old's mind. So
Right.
if you're a 6-year-old, probably perfect.
And I think the one thing that I can leave here knowing that I am happy with, with this final thought,
Yeah.
is that I am very upset that I paid $3 for this.
I did too. It's not streaming. We had to prime it.
Yeah, I think it was on HBO Max, but
It's
it was like
gone
the
now.
day after it left.
Yep.
Like the day I was gonna go watch it.
Very poorly timed this episode.
Anyways, thank you all for listening. That was
I
a
will
great
say
first
one
episode.
final thing about Sharkboy and Lavagirl to fully wrap it up, right?
Yeah.
I can't believe this got greenlit.
Can't believe it's got greenlit. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week, same place, same time, for whatever movie Pelton picks.
Yeah, I have to pick next. I've been DJ Pelton. Please refer to me as that.
I've been just Nick.
Nope, DJ Warner.
All right.